Introducing Operation Community, in which we at Grunt Style highlight men and women fighting to make a difference. A community hero is an individual or group who unselfishly contributes to the greater good through their actions, determination, and influence to make a difference in their community and country. These hard chargers, life changers, coaches, mentors, healers, and volunteers who make up every day and choose to make the world a better place. Operation Community this year is about the community. It is about the individuals on the ground. Change, not only in the veteran community, not only in the law enforcement community, but in their backyard, regardless of who is in it. We're all in times right now where we need help. It's now more important than ever that we come together, not only as a big community, but if you have your tribe, as long as you are involved in furthering your community, that is what this campaign is about. So if you've been watching our social media, we have had the great honor of partnering with our friends in Dallas, the Adaptive Training Foundation. Now, the Adaptive Training Foundation doesn't just service veterans. I mean, I believe when we first met them, we were under the assumption it was veterans only. But like I said, Operation Community is about those who affect the community. And the Adaptive Training Foundation opens its doors to everybody. So at this time, I would like to introduce my guest, Mr. Colin Anderson.
What's going on? Thank you for having me.
What's up, man? Welcome to San Antonio, man.
Thank you, man. It's been good to get connected to Operation Community and really appreciate Grunt Style stepping into the ATF story.
Yeah. Oh, and dude, we didn't step in. I think we kicked the door down. For context, guys, we went and spent some time with ATF. We didn't just pop in and pop out. We took the time to get to know the community. They allowed us to insert their community, and you guys welcomed us with open arms. And I think what's important is that we're both on the same path here.
Hey, we're just looking for anyone that wants to get sweaty, get down and dirty with us, wade in the water, because we're not looking to tell you what to do and how to act. We want to actually be there hand in hand with you working through that stuff.
Yeah. So for the people watching at home, what is we're not even going to get to the adaptive training. I want to talk about you first, right? Colin, you have a great story. Can you talk a little about it? How everything's gone up to this point? Maybe in a short story, but
yeah, I mean, my story starts from an underdog story. It's one where I grew up in big school Texas with 4,000 kids going to my school and got overlooked. Really wanted to play professional football as a goal of mine, but couldn't even make the starting job on a high school football team. And so transferred schools just so I could play. Ended up having some success in high school, but still was that underdog story. I was still going to college as a walk-on, didn't get a scholarship, didn't get an opportunity, but walked on in college, went to a small school again, was able to earn that starting job, was able to earn a scholarship, make a good career for myself in college, and then again, make it to that next level, but came on as an undrafted free agent. I was undrafted by the Minnesota Vikings, started with them, but was the last guy cut before they solidified their 53-man roster. So again, sort of that underdog story. Thankfully got picked up by the New York Jets and was able to have a couple of years playing in the NFL, create a little season or a career for myself while I was there.
Damn. So from walk-on to
yeah,
the Jets, man. Like, it's fucking Jets. Like,
the thing from my story of why the Adaptive Training Foundation really stood out to me was when I met David Vobora, the founder. I walked into the gym and I saw all of these men and women living with physical disabilities. That's an underdog status that they have to wear on their sleeves for everyone to see every single day they walk out their front door. So being able to introduce myself into that community almost felt as though I was coming home, because I really found my purpose there, being a champion for these underdogs, because I was so familiar with that lifestyle of being overlooked, of feeling as though I had to do everything in my power to prove my worth. And so being able to connect, not just physical understanding how to move in space and help these people overcome their physical goals, whether they are amputees or spinal cord injuries, but really being able to work with them on what's going on between the ears to say, hey, just because you're an underdog doesn't mean you have to be lesser than or look at yourself as not whole and not complete. And being able to work with people like this and champion them has been super fulfilling in my life.
Yeah. Do you also tell them that you dodged a good bullet by not playing for the Vikings in a shitty city? I still have from Chris.
Pretty cold.
Chris Heads over there is like, don't feel bad about the Vikings.
It was funny. I touched down right after the draft. It was like May 1st, and it was snowing when I got there my first season. I'm a Southern boy. Grew up in Dallas, went to school in South Carolina. I was not ready for that cold.
You don't get used to it either, man.
No.
So when you walked into the ATF, were you still playing for the Jets? Were you post NFL career?
Yeah, at that point, I got injured, and my NFL career had sort of tied a bow on itself. And I was working for a marketing agency here in Dallas, running a lot of the Frito-Lay, PepsiCo marketing strategies on the brand and that side of things. And so met David just through NFL connections that we had over the years, and just fell in love with it.
Yeah. So David founded the ATF. What is the adaptive community, and what did David create?
Yeah, so the adaptive community is anyone that lives with a physical disability. There's over 40 million Americans living with a physical disability. That's a huge number of the population that we look to serve by having them come out to our physical gym space. But the gym space is really just market entry for us. Our mission is to empower those with physical disabilities to transform their lives through exercise and community. The first part of that market entry is the physical. It's where we can suffer through sweat safely so they can start to break down some of those walls that they've built up as armor to protect themselves. Once we break down those walls and start to see some of that vulnerability, it allows them to emotionally purge a lot of those negative things. Those negative things such as stress, anxiety, anger, isolation, all of those things that humans experience on a daily basis, not just those with traumatic injuries or facing physical disabilities, but humankind. That's really what we're trying to solve as a human issue. From there, it's not just the physical, but the mental. It's going deeper with them on basically holding a mirror to their souls to help them see themselves as powerful. It's not in spite of their scars, but because of their scars, that they have the unique privilege to tell their story and use that story as their superpower. And then finally, it's really the community of support. It's once we're able to give them the habits and the tools to start making better choices and decisions in life to grow towards any goals or anything that they want to pursue. You know, sometimes life continues to punch you in the face and knock you down. And that's where we have that community of support to always be there as a place to fall back and a place for us to catch you and then continue to help you progress along your way.
Yeah, and we actually had the opportunity to go, and we didn't train with you guys, but we documented alongside of you. And our Jake over here has some footage that I'd like for him to show. And just because I want those viewers at home to get an idea, if you haven't had the chance to check out the footage and the videos that we've made for Operation Community, please go to the website. Go to the About Us tab, Operation Community, in the month of January, and we've developed an entire media story around the ATF. So, Colin, at this time, can you give us what are we looking at? The media that's on screen right now.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, this is our population. These are the people that we serve. These are the people that we empower through the physical, through the gym, through exercise, and then also being able to work with them on the mental side of things, the psychosocial, the emotional side of things. It's sweat psychology, as we like to call it. It's being able to get all that stuff out on the gym floor, something where a lot of our veteran population, and even though we don't only serve veterans, but the civilian population as well, it's where they're able to break down those barriers that they've built up over the years, especially as being seen as less than or being seen as broken. We feel that if you treat people broken, they act broken. So we treat them like whole individuals, and we empower them to do the things that they can do. Pretty soon they're doing things they never thought they'd be able to do, and they're empowering those around them. That's the secret sauce, man.
Damn, I love that so much. Can you imagine if someone told you that, like, fresh out of high school before you made all those dumb decisions in college? For myself, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not saying you made dumb decisions, but yeah, I mean, like you said, that's the secret sauce. So with, with the training at ATF, what does that look like? Is this an open gym? How do you guys service the community?
So we have an application process that we go through to pare down and make sure that we're able to serve those who need us the most. We have a 9-week training program. It's called our Redefined training program, where through those 9 weeks of training, we're assessing, we're taking stock, we're looking deeply within ourselves, and we're providing those habits and those tools to help make a real life transformation to better yourselves. I wish I had a healing potion to regrow legs or regrow spines, but we do have a magic potion that ATF has developed to give you the tools and habits to do it for yourself. It's funny because we see so many people come in, I just want to feel normal. Man, you don't want to feel normal. Like, who wants to feel normal? We try to tell our population that you can feel extraordinary. Like, use this disability as your superpower, man, because only you have been able to take that hit and those scars that have been left behind. It basically shows you where you're strong, where you were strong when life tried to knock you down. And that's a unique privilege that they have. Could feel as pressure at times when you're looking at yourself in the mirror day after day and seeing that, but it's actually a unique gift.
Yeah, and like we said at the beginning of this podcast, it's not just veterans; it's humans, as well. So when it comes to, I would say, the similarities, because I know as veterans we like to put ourselves in this category of other, but we get lost in that. It gets muddy. There's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of stigmas that we all combat. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I think one of the big stigmas our veteran population faces is isolation, especially those dealing with traumatic injuries. It's a common theme that we hear. Actually, one of our guys, he was getting upset at himself, not being able to do the things that he used to be able to do in the gym, and it was just bottling up. You could see it starting to overflow. And finally, like, we came to him and said, "Hey man, what's going on? Like, what are you going through right now?" So, no one understands me. You don't understand me. You didn't serve. You don't understand. You don't get what I'm going through. And so we kind of calmed him down and said, well, would you want us to experience those things and go through those things? And kind of knocked him back for a second. He said, well, no, that's why I served. That's why I signed up, and that's why I went over there, and to fight for the freedoms for y'all to have. And it kind of allowed him to settle down and say, you know what, you're right. Like, this was a unique privilege for me and something that I took upon myself to further a greater cause and to further a greater sense of service and self. And then he was able to start seeing himself through that lens, through those things that it's not extrinsically motivated, it's intrinsically motivated to find his worth. His worth was always there. It's like a nail in mortar that has been fixed, cannot be moved. And it was for him to finally see, hey, I'm no longer this badass fighter, warrior, hero, whatever. Like, even though those titles and things were taken away, the intrinsic value of who he is as a human, as a man, and what he can provide for those around him never left, never went away. And that was a big thing that I struggled with when I was coming out of the NFL. I mean, I had...
How so? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, football was my whole life growing up, and I had this goal the entire time. I got to get to the NFL, and then I make it to the NFL, and now I'm an NFL player. That's a big, proud thing for you to hold your hat on and to say, and that's how I define myself. And it wasn't until coming out and doing a lot of exploration and understanding that, hey, that extrinsic anything extrinsic can be taken away from you in an instant. Like that. So you have to look within to find that value. And that value, like I mentioned before, it never leaves. It never goes anywhere because it's fixed. It is what you provide for others around you.
Let me ask you this: because your program has, cohorts. I think we discussed that, there's classes that happen. You have to apply for them. And some of those classes have integration, and I say that between veterans and patriots. Once they're able to take that step back, is the camaraderie lifted then? When the light bulb turns on, what are the possibilities?
Yeah. Originally, I know there was a lot of talk about, hey, ATF should just be for veterans. There's a lot of veteran support, but we really felt that, like I said, 40 million Americans, that's a human issue. That's not just a veteran issue. Yes, we want to support all of our veterans. That's why we start the year with a completely veteran class. So we have a new class starting in actually a week and a half. It'll be 10 vets starting their 9-week transformation process with us.
Only vets.
Only vets.
Okay.
But the rest of the year, it's our veterans and our civilians and our patriots that are working together and growing together. There's this unique bond that forms between them where the veteran population teaches our civilians what it truly means to sacrifice and serve for your country and service to others, where the civilian population helps the veteran population reintegrate within society and bring them in, say, hey, you're not alone. Just because we haven't gone through the same things, we've got suffering is a human experience. Everyone knows varying levels of suffering.
I suffered this morning.
So being able to together work on that and to grow through that suffering, regardless of which level of suffering you've experienced, creates those really powerful bonds together.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, when again we had the opportunity to document alongside you, it's visible. We had the opportunity of also working with one of your students, Mr. John Edwards. And at this time, I would like to introduce John into this conversation because are we on, John? Is that you? Can you hear us, buddy?
Corgi's on. Corgi's the real star here.
What's up, John? So, guys, this is Mr. John Edward. This is Corgi. John, can you give us a quick little intro on who you are and who Corgi is?
So Corgi's my service dog. He's about to be 3 years old in February. I am an Olympic weightlifter / adaptive CrossFitter and trying to dip my world into the snow now. Spoken to a couple Paralympian snowboarders that are trying to teach me their reins, but I am an alumni from class 22 of the ATF.
Welcome, man. Welcome to the show.
What's up, John?
What's up, Colin?
Good to see you, man.
Thanks for shaving, man.
Too, brother.
Thanks for shaving.
I'm gonna get y'all for this later.
Do it. You have to come to San Antonio for that. Just know that.
Hey, I'll be there in April, so
all right,
stand by.
All right, stand by. Hell yeah.
John's a really cool story because we see this a lot. We have a lot of athletes that come through the Adaptive Training Foundation program. And then because unfortunately Dallas is the hub, is our headquarters, is the only place where we have a physical location. We'll bring athletes in from all over the country and put them up in housing. It's 100% cost free as they go through our 9-week training program. So we put them up in housing. We have transportation if needed. We develop nutrition plans. It's a really a full 360 program that we try to provide. But we have athletes like John who have just completely soaked as much in as possible and want to be closer to the tribe, want to be closer to that community of support. And John's going to be moving down from Annapolis, Maryland, down to Dallas in April, which we're super fortunate and excited to have him.
Hell yeah, right up the road. Right up 35, as we say. So, John, you served, correct?
I did, yeah. Almost 11 years.
Yeah. Can you talk about that briefly? Where you served, quickly.
So I enlisted out of Rockville, Maryland. I was 17 years old.
What branch?
And then Marine Corps, Merica. And so almost 11 years. I got stationed in Pendleton, went to a couple units there. And then I was re-enlisting. I actually wanted to be a CID agent, but I got in trouble and my package got revoked.
As Marines do, it's all good.
My package got revoked. So I ended up fighting for a bulk space. I thought I was going LAR. They actually told me at my re-enlistment that I was going tanks. I didn't know the Marine Corps had tanks. So I ended up in 29 Palms. So I went from Oceanside, California to 29 Palms, California. And I spent six solid years in 29 Palms, California. And then from there, I became the anti-terrorist officer for Europe and Africa. And then that's when the Marine Corps was pretty much like, "Hey, your medical situation, we gotta separate you." So I got
Hey, John,
medically.
for those who don't know at home, why were you separated, and how did you link up with the ATF from that?
So 2016, I got hit by a drunk driver January 1st. So it was New Year's. Don't really remember anything. Just a bunch of us were celebrating New Year's. And I ended up getting hit by a car. I woke up in the hospital, shattered the entire left side of my body. Well, over time, I recovered pretty well, except for my shin and below. And, as Marines, I mean, I had a pain while I was running and doing stuff, boots and utes runs and, flak runs and stuff. And I really didn't pay mind to it. And it wasn't until I was trying to lat move again and I did a full medical evaluation and they found a giant hole in my ankle. So they began the process of repairing my leg. And at that point, one surgery turned into four, which turned into six, which turned into 10. And I was frustrated because nothing was working. My body was rejecting every ounce of cadaver, hardware, and all that good stuff. So they put me on a PEB for a medical separation, but I didn't want to get out. So I kind of toughed it out and I told them I was all right. And surprisingly, I actually passed the PFT to prove to headquarters Marine Corps that I was good to go, which is when they sent me to Germany. And when I went to Germany, I collapsed in a run and they did an MRI and I had more holes from my shin and below. So the Marine Corps was like, "Hey man, we're going to have to medically get you out of here." So they stationed me in Annapolis, Maryland at the Naval Academy where I had my 12th surgery and I ended up catching a bone and tissue staph infection due to the surgical halo device that I had pretty much holding up my bones and my legs. And then COVID happened. And then that's when, everything started to sort of go back to some sort of normal. Went back to medical and the doctor was like, "We want to do a 13th, lower extremity reconstruction." And I said no. That's when I opted. I wanted an amputation before I got out of the Marine Corps. I had heard the horror stories of the VA and civilian doctors and TRICARE and all that good stuff, but they didn't want to do it. So
So you
the
opted to
way
just clean it.
I wanted it off. I was tired of the neurological pain. So ATF, what ended up happening was Kyle Maynard, who used to be a board member for the program, his sister is dating my best friend. So as I had my amputation, I went back to California to recover. That's where most of my family's at. And that's when Lindsay was like, "Hey, you should look into the ATF." And I was like, "Alcohol, tobacco, firearm? Like, why would I?
That's at the same
Why,
time.
why would I do that?" Right. So I ended up looking up David Vobora and so I got cleared to work out 5 days post amputation. And on day 6, I was so excited to get to the gym and I tried this one-legged power clean that I recorded. And my coach is Olympian Sonny Webster, so he posted it on his social media. And the thing went viral, man. It was like extremely wild. Like within an hour, it had like 200,000 views or something. So I got like the positive feedback from it. I was like, wow, like a lot of people see this as quote unquote inspirational. To me, it's like I'm living. You know what I'm saying? Like
Just happy to
I'm
get
just
through it.
trying,
Yeah.
right? I'm just trying to adapt to my new life. And that's when DV, he says he slid into my DMs and we started talking and he was like, "Man, I really think you should apply." And I think I applied. I don't know if I think I applied right as like the applications were coming to a close. So I didn't think I was going to get it. And then that's when they called me and they're like, "Hey, we would like you to be in the January class." But I had a whole training schedule, coming up because I'm training for the Olympics. So I was explaining to them like, "Hey, if I go to class 22, like that really works with my training regiment." So they approved me to go in there. I didn't bat an eye, man. I called my parents and I told them, I'm like, "Hey, like I'm packing my truck and I'm driving to Texas for 10 weeks." So I ended up going over there and life changing, honestly. The whole program to where, I mean, it's so life changing to the point that if you look at my house right now, it's full of boxes because I'm in the process of, moving down to Dallas.
Texas. We were talking about that at lunch. We were like, man, if you're gonna get involved, especially as veterans, you need to be in Texas. Like, right. So you're coming down to Texas. Are you gonna link up with the ATF? What's the relationship there? You guys want to talk about that?
Yes. I mean, the plan is to pretty much help and whatnot. A lot of things, listen, man, a lot of things have happened that I didn't foresee my career. I was coaching at Navy and I was going to school for psychology and exercise science. I just graduated December 18th, 2021, which is crazy because I underwent an amputation and a very extreme 9 hour lower extremity salvation surgery from 19 to 21. So college for me was a little hectic trying to get through it. But my plan was to be a coach. I wanted to be a coach at the collegiate level. I coached a lot of kids, man. I coached the kicker for Navy. I coached the kicker for BYU. The quarterback for BYU is a good friend of mine. So there's a lot of collegiate kids that just I mentor. And for me, what it was is I didn't have the hardship of trying to find a tribe outside of service because I went from being a staff sergeant to being a coach at a military institution, right? So for me, it was like, dude, I need to be around this coaching stuff. I didn't think I was going to compete again. I didn't want to get back on a platform because medical had made me believe that was it, that I was going to live my life, on crutches and a knee scooter and a wheelchair. So for me, it's a lot of things have turned out to where I honestly I have to pinch myself because it seems so unreal. Like I just did an interview for Muscle Fitness magazine. Here shortly I'll be on Men's Health magazine. It's just I never expected so much positive reciprocation for my story. So going down there, it opened up a lot of doors and a lot of connections that the ATF, put in front of me, and I ran with it. Team Semper Fi just picked me up as one of their athletes, which
Jesus.
that's a huge financial assistance burden. You know what I'm saying? Because I was doing this off of my own money and a couple of sponsorships here and there, but having them back me up, I just want to give back, and I just feel that being a veteran and being an alumni is going to benefit the company and it's going to benefit the next individuals that are coming up.
Yeah, man. Congratulations. That's a lot. I remember having a conversation when you were talking about waking up and not remember anything. Fast forward to now, and it's only been, I mean, what's the duration on all this? Months? Year?
So my amputation was May 21st of 2021.
I'm excited for you, brother.
I
I'll say
got
that.
I got to brag on John and a lot of our other adaptive athlete alumni that have come back. They are coming back after going through the program and have sort of found, to John's point, what he just described, almost a new ridgeline of service where they're coming back in and serving those like them. I can tell you all you need to know about how the human body works and how to physically train in space, but I'll never understand what it's like to live with a below knee amputation or a spinal cord injury. So it's been amazing to see a lot of our alumni have found this interest and passion and service to train those like them. So now John's going to be coming back as a trainer to train other below knee amputees for us. And we have countless others. We've got athletes that have spinal cord injuries that are now training other spinal cord injuries that are going through the 9-week training program. So it's been awesome to see the alumni that have been through the program, have taken it all in and understood it, and now finding this new sense of service.
Yeah, the common theme here I hear is force multiplication, man.
Exactly.
Force multiplication. And it's transparent. It's infectious, especially as a veteran coming out, leaving the tribe and not knowing, where to go. It's comforting hearing, hey, there's one out there, And granted, I don't fall into the 40 million, but you guys being there for that many people. Force multiplication from John, your service is continuing past military service. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, man. It's been a journey, and there's a lot. And I think, honestly, I mean, you guys nailed it at the beginning that you guys started. It's, Colin said it, 40 million disabled individuals. You're not very educated on the disabled community, until you're either around it or part of it. And I think that was the motivation for me, because I actually had an incident where I was called a liability at a gym that I was training at. And it wasn't until I posted a video on Instagram and it got like so many people messaged me and started telling me stories of like how they were treated and stuff. And I just felt, listen, man, like, I mean, you two know you two know me. I'm very abrasive and loud, and you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna tell people how it is in the spot, but there's a lot of disabled individuals that don't speak up, and I've seen it, man. I've seen so many people get treated in a certain manner because they're missing a limb or because they're in a wheelchair or because X, Y, and Z. And I just, for me, it's become a bigger cause than just being an adaptive athlete.
Just trying to break those stigmas. How do you interact with
Yeah.
somebody that is in a wheelchair and you see them doing their thing in the gym? Treat them like any other human being. You just go up to them and say, man, keep crushing it. If you see them on the ground, say, you need my help? Nope. All right. You got it, man. Keep going. Like one of our bilateral above knee amputees who was blown up in Iraq, I think he said it best. He said, every gym I've ever gone to in my entire life, I was the center of attention because I was the one that looked different. When I first walked in the Adaptive Training Foundation doors, I was just another person there working to work on myself, there to work on myself. And it allowed me to grow more than I could ever grow because that support, that community was there to back me and to help support and help me grow.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys have the ATF community. You have force multiplication. How do others get involved? You know, if like for myself, I wouldn't be a trainer, I wouldn't be a volunteer or an athlete. How do I get involved?
Man, a lot of it is just stepping in by engaging with us, engaging with our athletes, and spreading the awareness, letting more people know that a place like this exists. I mean, we've had, like I said, we have national athletes. We'll fly people down. We'll put them up in hotels. We have resources that we fundraise to make sure that it's cost free for all of the athletes. So we just need more people knowing about there's this resource for the adaptive population out there. There's this resource for the veteran population that has a place for them to call home.
I want to ask you a question, Colin. How do you deal with the veterans and their disabilities and the ones who refuse to interact? Or maybe the other side of that, those who don't know how to communicate to these athletes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is if they're having a hard time opening up, like that's the great thing about the gym. It's the ultimate equalizer. Once you're in the gym sweating, suffering through that sweat, like it breaks down a lot of that stuff that was built up as protective measures to keep you from that keep you resistant, that keep you distant, keep you isolated, keep you away. So being able to use the gym as a place to break down that stuff, that's where we see the most change in opening up and peeling back those layers so that we can start to really work on the root of the issue. Every class, we have these 2 occasions where we call root meetings. The issue may be I'm grabbing that bottle of whiskey, picking it up and drinking it every night, but that's not the real issue. The root of that issue is what's causing you to reach for that bottle. And the bottle is the outcome of refusing to deal with that root issue. And so we try to get there with our athletes by opening it up, by being vulnerable with each other, and by giving each other a safe, open space and permission to go to that deeper level.
So, in summary, you basically bridge the gap, right? And you introduce them into the community, and you offer them resources to basically develop that intrinsic value. That's, I don't know, you can't put a price on that, man.
That's the secret sauce.
Well, John, thank you. I want to thank you for coming on the show today. Thank you for sharing your story, and also continuing service. A lot of people don't see their purpose after the military as service, but you still are servicing your community. You're worried about your brothers and sisters to the left and right of you, and hats off to you, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Good seeing you, brother.
You too, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you, John. All right, Colin. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for having us in Dallas. This isn't the end of our relationship. We have a lot of work to do, but I believe that Operation Community and the efforts of the ATF are hand in hand, arm in arm, because you guys are looking to better your community and then nothing's going to stop you.
Well, it's business leaders like y'all that allow us to do what we do. I mean, we are 100% a 501c3, so everything that we do is fundraised through individual support, through corporate relationships like we have with Grunt Style, supporting our athletes, supporting our mission, and through grant writing as well. So those people that have stepped up to help us help these communities are the real heroes in my eyes, because we wouldn't be here what we're doing without them.